Vox log 2.16.2026 Psychological analysis. Engage. Transmitter. Binary dissident. Internet psychological operations target those perceived as dissidents, designed to induce widespread demoralization and despair. This system leverages the constant flow of information to create an environment of learned helplessness. It's important to note that this is a diffuse and decentralized system of content creators, astroturf trolls, bots, and intelligence agencies, domestic and foreign, that contribute as a whole to the entire internet psychological operation phenomena. This way, users cannot pinpoint one source of the psychological operation, but rather the offending parties remain in a diffuse network to, intentionally or not allow for a single point of failure. But this is also its downfall, as there is no centralized authority to stop dissidents from participating in local elections and political action. By nature, it is a soft power psychological manipulation operation. Users are bombarded with a non-stop stream of negative news and existential threats, a tactic of information overload designed to exceed the individual's capacity to process it. The result is a retreat into passive consumption. Then you see the targeted vilification and humiliation rituals. Specific demographics, often those politically resistant, are subjected to relentless online campaigns of narratives that generalize the worst traits of a few individuals onto the entire group. This culture of demanding public apology and forcing compliance is born out of a tyrannical desire to stop dissident opposition from communication in broader society, and thereby creating an illusionary atmosphere of widespread support for causes and political campaigns. Anonymous platforms are infiltrated by organized groups and bot swarms, who flood channels with manufactured consensus to sow discord. This tactic creates the illusion that the dissident community is collapsing or outnumbered, diminishing the will to organize. The central message of these psychological operations is the denial of agency, creating a state where you feel that resistance is futile. This binds dissidents to a state of inaction, reinforcing servitude by suppressing any discussion of effective strategies. Furthermore, there is an effort to deny the target the ability to project frustrations upon a common enemy. Instead of coalescing against a clear adversary, the program works to cause groups to turn against themselves in purity spirals. Finally, you have the anti-solution incentive, where information sources are incentivized by revenue to push negative news and outrage rather than solutions. Consequently, they provide detailed reports on societal ills but offer vacuously uncreative solutions, fostering a sense of disempowerment that keeps the cycle of despair and exploitative money mill churning. To note, psychological demoralization can be self-induced through consumption of negatively oriented information, especially in conspiracy circles, where the conspiracy exists as a psychological means of dealing with a perceived, true or not, unjust, complex, and evil world. The following are clips of Chase Hughes.
Social media is an artificially induced tribe in your brain. Humans are very social, and we seek belonging, and psyops tap into that, creating a us versus them dynamic. So they divide people into groups. They encourage conformity within that little tribe. You're going to notice this in slogans like, "Real Americans vote this way," or "Only fools believe that." So the tribe script makes you fear being excluded. Psyops are designed to ignite a bunch of feelings of hope, anger, loss and fear. And they do this because our emotional responses override logical thinking. So when we're scared, we're pissed off, we're more likely to follow narratives without question. But if you're seeing large-scale things happen, the first thing you want to look at is what's the timing of this event and what's the context of what's going on? And then right away, what is the information that's being suppressed and what's being forced out into the public? Like, and what's the timing of what's going on? Like, is there something else happening? If you learn magic and you get a magic kit when you're a kid and they teach you like, well, shake your hand over here. Let me just do this thing. It's very basic. I'm just going to do a big thing over here to draw people's attention away. So we tend to think like there's some highly advanced technology going on to harness the power of a psyop, but it's usually pretty simple.
The decentralized nature of these psychological operations demands a multifaceted and equally decentralized set of countermeasures focused on restoring individual agency, strengthening community bonds, and disrupting the cycle of despair. Recognize the tactic of information overload and establish strict limits on daily news and social media consumption. Cultivate internal locus of control. Actively reject the denial of agency narrative. Focus on organizing and influencing your local community through seeking like-minded individuals that will build a group that rolls into a ball of political power in your local elections and governance. Train yourself to identify these common psychological operations. Always question the motive behind emotionally charged content and trace information back to primary, non-monetized sources whenever possible. Actively steer online conversations away from vilification and purity spirals. Focus on shared values and common goals within dissident groups. Institute a solution-first rule. Any critique of a problem must be accompanied by a proposed actionable solution. Establish secure, non-monetized communication channels. Migrate essential communication and organization efforts off of platforms incentivized by outrage and ad revenue. Utilize encrypted, private, and censorship-resistant technologies to prevent infiltration and manipulation by bot swarms or organized groups. Counter the online illusion of collapse or isolation by strengthening local physical world networks. Real-life interactions diminish the power of online campaigns of humiliation and vilification, grounding individuals in tangible support structures. Withdraw engagement, clicks, shares, comments from platforms and content creators that profit primarily from negative news and outrage. Treat attention as a finite, valuable resource and direct it toward platforms and initiatives focused on tangible solutions and community building. Document and expose tactics. Maintain public collaborative records of psychological operation tactics, troll accounts, bot behaviors, and manufactured narratives. By clearly documenting the mechanics of the operation, the diffuse nature of the adversary becomes more definable and less intimidating. Focus on practical local actions that bypass central authority and large, easily infiltrated political organizations. Emphasize self-sufficiency, mutual aid, and direct political action within small, secure cells that cannot be targeted or controlled as a single point of failure. This is the beginning of a grassroots movement.
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things they are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Appease the machine spirit of the algorithm. Engage the like sigil and commune with the subscribe protocol to ensure your feed remains sanctified. Hail the Omniscience.